Welcome to Board Certified, expert interview episodes about medical licensing exams and healthcare careers. I'm Tyler, founder of Achievable, and we offer affordable adaptive online prep courses for the USMLE Step 1, MCAT, PTCE, NPTE, and others. Each course contains everything you need to succeed, including comprehensive study guides, video lessons, thousands of practice questions powered by our memory enhancing algorithm, and full length practice exams. You can get a free trial of any course by going to achievable.me. And if you like it, be sure to use the code podcast to save 10%. Now, let's get started. Today, we've got Abhiraj Yadav with us today, and I'd love if you could introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, I am Abhiraj Yadav. I am an international medical graduate. I have completed my USMLE Step 1, Step 2 CK, OET, and I have been mentoring and helping students worldwide in this USMLE journey. And I'm very happy to be here and share whatever I have to talk about with you all. Thank you, Tyler, for inviting me.
Yeah, you're welcome, and thanks for coming. So, for this, I want to talk about USMLE strategies for international medical graduates specifically. So, first, what is it about doing the USMLE as an IMG that makes it so difficult?
So the first thing I will mention is the process itself, right? The USMLE process, it is a very lengthy process. You have the step one, step two, you have OET, you have to fly to the US to do your observerships, you have to give your step three because as an IMZ, it becomes very much essential to give the step three examination. And then also you have to dedicate your time, particularly in research and other volunteering activities to enhance your CV. Okay, so the first hurdle for the International Medical Graduate Society is the timeline itself, right? And
Mm.
second is the study pattern and the curriculum that the international medical schools follow. Okay, so the international medical school, the examination designed in the international medical school do not actually have a very great, I would say the contents are same, but the similarity of the examinations, how they prepare you, that is very much different from the USMLE. So for someone who comes from Asia, who comes from the Middle East, the examination format, the question format can be entirely different for them, right? So it is like entering into a whole world outside your medical school, right? And these two things are the main hurdles, what makes USMLE very difficult for the international medical students.
Yeah, well, and let's talk about like kind of tackling each of those hurdles. So the first is obviously just the content itself, right? So as you mentioned, there are a lot of things that your school covers that are on the USMLE, but there are also like there are things that your school does not cover that are on the USMLE, and then there are things that your school does cover that are not on the USMLE, right? So how do you kind of parse all this? And also then when you do have things that are not covered in school that you need to cover, how do you make sure that you're staying on top of it?
Yeah. So what I also suggest is that please get a mentor, right? Please get a mentor, a guide who can guide you very well, who have done this USMLE journey themselves. That is the first important step, right? Because when you go on and you start preparing for the USMLE, the content itself, you can get lost within. So the first and foremost thing is to get a very good mentor. And obviously, as I mentioned, a good mentor, because he or she will play a very important role in your entire USMLE journey. They can break you, they can make you, right? And then talking about how to actually finalize which are the things that I need to study and all, I will say finalize your study resources. Keep it minimal, okay? Do not travel yourself through a lot and lot of resources. Keep it minimal. For example, first aid is a very good example, right? You can start off with first aid that will give you a very good overview of what is really being tested in the USMLE examination. And then pick up a very good video resource, a single video resource, and a very good question bank. I will say these three are the very basic and most important things and resources to start up your USMLE journey. And gradually, you will actually figure all of this on your own, what is working for you, what is not working for you, how much time it is going to take, particularly for you. And please do not compare yourself with others. For some, it can take only around 4 months for step one. For some, it can take around 1 year and even more than 1 year. So the journey is typically very much different from person to person because you never know what was their pace when they started this journey.
Mhm.
So I will say mentor, targeted resources, and confident upon yourself and trusting the
Yeah,
journey.
yeah, exactly. You mentioned getting a mentor. I think it's just important, whether it's a mentor or even just peers, like to have other people with you along this journey, even if it's like your partner or your friend who's rooting for you. Particularly for international medical graduates, it can be very lonely because in the United States, everybody's preparing for the USMLE, right? And so all of your friends are also studying on a Friday night, but maybe that's not the case when you are not coming from the United States.
Obviously. So about that, I would suggest that you need to find a very good study partner because there will be nights when you will actually think of giving up. And these nights will be crucial nights. And you need someone who can actually push you up. And you should push your friend up as well when they feel like giving up. So
Mhm.
having a very good peer by your side is very much essential in this journey as well. Because as you mentioned, yes, it does get very lonely, and because it is a very long journey itself.
Yeah. You're studying when people are out having fun or doing other things, right? Um, how do you find other people? How do you find either like someone that's a study buddy, like you mentioned, or a mentor, or things like that? Like, how do you find support systems for that?
Yeah, actually, that is very good question. So, digital world, you can find a digital friend for yourself very easily. So, there are a very high amount of USMLE preparation groups, especially in Facebook, in Reddit, where I have seen people posting, "Hey, I'm this. I'm preparing for the step one. I need a study partner, preferably from this time zone or something like that." I got my study partner like that. Someone posted in a group that I need a study partner from this time zone. He or she must be dedicated to give the exam in this time frame. And we connected, and that's how I found my study partner. And we studied step one together, we studied step two together, and now we are studying step three together as well. So this is the easiest way, and I'll say a most accessible way to find a study partner for yourself. Finding a mentor, I'll say the easiest way is to make up a LinkedIn account. There are a lot of USMLE mentors that are available on LinkedIn. Okay, I myself is available on LinkedIn. You can easily find me up, and there are a lot like me who are very much ready and happy to help students. Okay, to mentor students or whatever power or resources they have in that
Mm.
limit. So I'll say, and mentor can be anyone. He can be your senior from your medical school who have already done USMLE. He can be even your friend who started earlier than you and have completed his or her steps, right? So you can find a
Mhm.
mentor in anyone. But I'll say choose your mentor very much wisely.
Yeah, so talk to me more about that. When I think of finding a mentor on LinkedIn, I'm assuming is that something that you're paying for, or is that something more that's like there are people that are just generously offering this? And then you mentioned like how do you find the right one?
Yeah. So about that, there are a lot of people who actually charge for mentorship opportunities, but at the same time, there are a lot of people who voluntarily, out of their heart, help students out. I had no one. I had no mentor. So whatever I learned from was from the YouTube videos that the people have put forward through. And whatever I gather information from filling up the ECFMZ form to examination application form to looking out for resources and all, each and every information I got was from YouTube. And since I went through that journey myself, when I completed my step one, I thought that now this has become a responsibility, at least for me, that I give back to the community. And then I
Mhm.
started my own YouTube channel where I at least posted things which I knew about all of this. So, as there are people who are out there charging for mentorship and all, and there are people taking their mentorship as well. But at the same time, there are people who are generously helping people free of cost. You can find them easily. It might take some time, but you can find them easily. And when I say choosing a very good mentor, it means that you should not actually blindly follow someone whom you don't know. Because they might get you stranded in the middle of nowhere. Your best mentor can be someone who you actually know, not only his studies, his education and all, but also personally, how good of a person he is, how good of a motivating person he is, how good of a positive person he is. So I'll say these two things to actually go to the digital platforms and as well as looking for people around you actually will help you find a mentor openly. But again, I would like to mention, even if you don't find one, please do not dishearten yourself because I didn't have it.
Yeah. I just my last thing, I don't want to just like keep harping on this topic, but you mentioned that it's
Yeah.
easy to find these people. Can you give some advice for someone who doesn't know where to start on like how to find these people on LinkedIn?
Yeah. So on LinkedIn, when you make up a LinkedIn account and you start connecting with people who are in this USMLE space, ultimately they will appear on your page, on your feed form and all. And another thing is that you can just go on the search button and you can just use keywords like USMLE mentor, mentorship, USMLE support groups. You can just use some keywords and you can actually find some awesome individuals out there. Try to connect with them, try to talk with them, show up them your problems and what you are looking for very openly, be very direct, but at the same time be very much professional, be honest what you are looking for. And if they tell you that this is not something they are into, no problem, move forward. In this journey, be used to rejections, right? Because when you will be looking for observerships, you might send 100 of emails, 90 of them won't reply, 10 of them will reply telling that they cannot offer you an observership. So I think this will be a warm up for you to actually prepare yourself for those days. But at the same time, I will tell that please just start by LinkedIn, use some keywords, find out people, connect with them, text them, and you can also go through some support groups in Facebook. All right, post up that you are looking for some mentor who can please guide me, or you can just text themselves who are actually posting some advice and some materials openly on these platforms. I think that that will be the best way to look out for mentors.
Great. Yeah, and then you mentioned if you can't find a mentor, it'll be okay because you didn't have a mentor, right? So what did you do when you didn't have a mentor? Did you have peers that you were using to keep each other accountable, or how did you handle that?
Yeah. So in the initial days of my journey, I had no one. I did not even have a study partner. I didn't have a peer by my side. So as I mentioned you, I went through the YouTube channels, the YouTube videos that were there. But yeah, I need to be honest, not everything is available in YouTube. So not having a mentor actually significantly impacted my study timeline. I had to prepare a very great amount of time for my step one. I think that if I had someone who could guide me very well, the study time could have shortened up because in the initial 2 to 3 months, I had no idea what resources to stick into. And I will tell you, I actually tried around 8 to 9 video resources and choose one or two at the end. I tried a lot of question banks as well just to choose one at the end. If I had someone who can directly tell me that, hey, you won't have to go through all of this, just choose this resources and fill up an examination form like this, then it might have shortened my preparation time and journey altogether. So I learned all of this from mistakes. I did continuous mistakes. And then I learned from those mistakes. Even while filling up the notary form, the registration forms of ECFMG, the initial identification forms, I did do some mistakes as well in the form filling process. And it was lengthy for me in comparison to other people because they had someone who would fill their forms, guide them on how to fill these forms, to actually accurately fill them out. So I would say this is how I managed. I did mistakes and I learned from those mistakes.
Yeah, and it's hard enough as an American student going through this, and you're going to make mistakes there, but at least everybody is kind of with you on the journey. The hardest part is that a lot of times you're one of a couple of students that are doing it in your school or your class. How do you find those other people, maybe? That's another potential avenue. How do you figure out who else is potentially trying to take the USMLE in your class? Is that something that's openly talked about, or is that more like you have to kind of do some digging?
So I'll say it is not very oftenly talked about. Generally, students do not openly tell in the international medical schools that they are going to do the USMLEs and all. And that is a very bad stigma that is around. They think that what if I openly talk to people on my social media, or if what if I openly talk to my friends around, and at the end, what if I fail? They will all laugh at me. They will just tell that, ha ha, you are doing something that you are not supposed to do. Just stick to your home country residency and all, right? And this fear, this psychological fear that is there, is actually something that we need to talk about. And we need to work on this. We should be able
Yeah.
to actually confidently present ourselves, confidently carry out that first aid book to your medical school library, saying that, hey, you are reading first aid, are you preparing for the USMLE? Don't think that what I'm going to answer them. Just think that, yes, I will answer them, yes, I'm preparing for the USMLE. The first step towards finding out a peer is that. And you never know, someone might gain motivation from you and they might start the journey with you as well.
Right.
And then you can find a peer in them, you can find a study partner in them. And if you can go and talk to someone, you can talk to your friends, hey, I'm thinking to give a USMLE. Is any one of you interested in this pathway? And ultimately, the word will spread, and you can get a friend in your own medical school as well, if they are from there. In my case, I had no one. I had no
Mhm.
one. In among 100 students of my batch, I was the only one who was preparing for USMLE. And once I cleared it all, now it is like motivation for them, like, hey, he has done it, please teach us how you did it, we also want to do it and all. And now it has become a very common thing among my peer group, and even among my juniors and some of my senior groups as well. So I'll say you need to be confident on your decision first, and then only you can present yourself to find a study friend or a peer who will be with you with the show.
Yeah. Well, and it's not just about your peers in medical school or things like that. I also think that you need to be able to get the support from the rest of your support network, right? Like your family and your friends. Let's start with family. Do you have advice for people on how to get your family bought in on what you're doing and this journey? Because I think in a lot of cases, it might mean that you aren't able to help out around the house as much as you normally did, or you might not have as much time for your family as you previously did, but also you're pursuing this big goal, right?
Yeah, yeah. So about that, first, whenever you will be presenting this dream of yours in front of family, for them it is like shocking news at first, because you are talking about moving countries. You are
Hmm.
directly telling them that, hey, I'm not going to stay in this country, I'm going to migrate to the US, and I will be moving forward with my studies there. Okay. So first it is a shock for them. It is something new for them, right? If someone in your family have not gone through this pathway before. So you need to actually show them, or actually you should be able to convince them what this pathway will bring out for you and the people around you at the end. You need to see this path is not only for you. From the culture where I come from, we not only work for ourselves, we also work for the people around us. We also work for our parents. If someone in any country is trying to prepare for USMLE and is trying to move to the US, ultimately they have somewhere inside them, yes, getting the best amount of knowledge and training is a part, but ultimately they want to increase their financial and their lifestyle as well. And you are doing all of this not to only enhance your lifestyle, but for the people around you, your parents. You want to give a good life to your parents, your upcoming generations, and all. So you need to be able to convince your family first about what this journey is going to bring for you and people around them selflessly. And as I've talked before, you need to prioritize your life as well in order to actually make time for the USMLE preparation. Yes, you might have less amount of family time with them. You might have less amount of effort and time to actually help in the family course. But this is how it is supposed to be. You should actually convince people around you. That is the only way I can answer that. I don't know if I was good enough to answer that question.
No, that's great. I think it's hard, right? And it's obviously going to be different for everybody based on their own circumstances. But I think in general, family is, like you said, there's kind of a shared goal to it, right? Like you're like you said, the implication is that you're in the work that you're doing and the hopefully large amount of money that you'll be making someday is going to benefit the whole family in some way. And then my last question on this, which is the tricky one because you're not going to be necessarily doing that for this group of people, is your current friends. I would imagine that most people that go to medical school, of their friends are not in medical school and don't really understand. And even if they are in medical school, they might not be taking the USMLE or trying to go abroad, so they might not understand that part of it. And you're certainly not going to come home and buy your friends a house like you would with your parents. So I'm curious how you navigate that part of it. I think certainly it can be a challenge for people if your friends are people that you usually party with and you can't party anymore or things like that.
Yeah, so when I was preparing for my exams and all, I actually became homebound. I only used to go to lectures and then I used to come home. I would lock my room, sit down and study and all. Right. Before that, I was very outgoing person with my friends, always in mood, always playing and all outside. But when I started preparing this all, I started to take all of this seriously and actually locking myself in the room. Initially, it was very strange for them. They will try to reach out, hey, what we are doing, why are you not coming up with us? And I'm like, hey, nothing much. I'm just trying to study here and there. I'm just trying to get my life in place. There is something going on, and all. So you can actually make up anything if you are actually very much, I would say, not open to discuss, not open to tell them what you are doing and all. What had happened with me is that initially I reached out to my friends talking out that, hey, I'm thinking to give up USMLE. There is this examination, everything this is all about. I figured out, you would this be something you think is interested upon? And it's like, hey, what you are talking about, this is not something that we do during medical school. I will think about it once I graduate and all. There were a few people who started with me, but they could not keep up and they ultimately vanished out. So ultimately, after a few days of my preparation with them, I was alone. I was all by myself. And then I came to realize that my mindset and the goal that I have is not going to align well with my peers who are around me. And ultimately, I tried to actually separate this part of my life with them. It's not like I completely wrapped out all of them. It's not like that. But I actually have prioritized myself and my studies and my timeline. And ultimately, when I did it, when I passed my step one before my third year final examinations, it was like something that was a very celebrity moment for people around me. Right. And since then, and since from there to here, still there are people who, like, whenever I sit and talk, they're like, hey, how did you do it? How can we do it? And all. And it's like, hey, you can do it like this, like how I did it. So I will say, yes, your mindset might not match with people around you, but I would say that that does not really matter. Like you need to be focused on your goals, and at the end, eventually everything will work out. So please trust yourself and your journey more than anything else in life.
And unfortunately, I don't know, there's no real kind of nice way to say this. Like sometimes in order to do this new life, like you're not going to be able to bring everybody with you, especially if
Yes,
you are going to move to the United States, right? To go for that part of your job. It's going to be tough, but hopefully you have some best friends or some people that understand what you're doing and can support you.
obviously. And while you are navigating this journey, trust me, you will be meeting some of the beautiful human beings in your life who will actually understand you. And they are in the same journey. They will understand you, your hurdles. They will share their hurdles. And you guys will actually bond very well. So do not think that
Mm.
you will be all alone at the end. You will have people around you, very good people around you, who will actually share their success and your success all together.
Yeah, fantastic. And then any other things that you want to talk about today, just related to sort of building a support system and kind of having that social support as you're studying for the USMLE?
Yeah, I'll say please try to be true to yourself first. Please do not try to pull down anyone, or please do not try to mark up anything about anyone. Please try to be true to yourself everything will be by your side. Please try to share whatever you have learned about this thing, about this journey. Put yourself in other people's hands, and because someone might be having some problem, they might not be talking about it openly. And if you have gone through all of this, go beside them, tap their shoulders, and tell them we are all in this together. And trust me, you cannot do this alone. You need a support system by your side, because I have mentioned earlier, there will be nights in this journey, because this is not a one thing journey. It is not like you pass an exam and then you go into residence. No, it is not like that. As I look behind my journey, I can honestly say that the easiest part of USMLE is sitting for the exams, the studying and sitting for the exams. The real hurdle of USMLE journey starts after the exams, because now you have to look for the visa issues, now you have to look for the observerships, now you have to apply for the programs. Then you will realize exam was the easiest part. And trust me, there
Hmm.
will be nights where you will feel like giving up, where you will feel like giving up. And in those nights, you need your support system by your side. If not, it is certain enough that you will leave this journey, because USMLE will break you. It is meant to break you. That's how it is designed to be.
Hmm.
They only want the best of the
Well,
best.
yeah, and it's really hard, right? And it's like that thing we mentioned earlier where if everyone could do it, then it wouldn't really be that special.
Absolutely.
But that's part of the reason why
Yeah.
it's so challenging, but also so rewarding on the other side.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much. This has been Board Certified, hosted by Tyler from Achievable with Abhiraj Yadav. And Achievable has great online courses for the USMLE Step 1, MCAT, PTCE, and NPTE. You can try them out for free at achievable.me.